I started out as a media professional and I worked for Discovery Channel for 10 years. After 10 years, like any corporate job, I got a little sabbatical because I was not happy anymore working over there, which is when I felt that it's not just a physical aspect only. It really goes deeper into your own self. And I think one major learning that I had after opening Joy Factory was this whole doubt that I had about it to myself, that will it get accepted in a country like ours? We are just too many of us, the population is exploding, and the people who may understand would be very, very less. I was fortunate that the year I launched Joy Factory, 6 months down, Marie Kondo launched her own series on Netflix. So immediately, what happened that when you Google Marie Kondo in India, my name popped up very organically, because convincing is a very big challenge even now after 7.5 years of being in the industry. And that's also because the level of attachment to items in India is very high. Because but when you do break down the Marie Kondo's philosophy and make them do understand that if that item is not being used, and if it's really not adding value to your current life, and actually it's starting to become like negative energy, because things that are not used, they become clutter, and clutter is nothing but dead energy or blocked energy. So the minute you
She's an ex-media professional that started the organization The Joy Factory. Gayatri Gandhi, India's first KonMari certified consultant. Now hold on, I know you're wondering what KonMari Consultant is. And here to tell us is Gayatri Gandhi. Gayatri ji, namaste. Thank you for coming on In a Habit. It's a pleasure having you here, and there is reasons for this. The major reason is you have such a unique business in India, and I am so excited to share it with people because I really haven't heard about this in India. So firstly, welcome.
Thank you so much, and namaste to you too. I'm so excited to be here as well, and really looking forward to our podcast and conversation.
Thank you, thank you. So we are going to be talking about your business, which is called Joy Factory.
Yes.
And then we're going to tell people what it's all about. So to
Sure.
start us off with, why don't you tell us how you've come about creating Joy Factory and what was the spark behind it? Because I believe you were also in the media industry like your own sister Tanvi. So how has this come about?
So, yes, like you said, I started out as a media professional and I worked for Discovery Channel for 10 years. And after 10 years, like any corporate job, I got a little sabbatical because I was not happy anymore working over there. So while I took the sabbatical, I picked up this book by Marie Kondo. And so actually, this subject does interest me, which is why I picked it up, because it is a kind of subject that not everybody will relate to. So hence, because I am a pretty organized person, I can say I felt the little bit of bent towards reading that book. So when I read the book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, I was very fascinated and very, very blown away. And in fact, it fascinated me so much that I thought that maybe I should start applying this concept in my own life, and how this wonderful lady has created it into a business just by tidying and decluttering. So it was just very fascinating to read about her. And the more I researched, and the more I've googled her and understood what she does, it really made a lot of sense to me. And because I myself was in that period where I was taking a break and where things were not making sense to me, maybe my mind was cluttered up, I felt that I had to get rid of the physical clutter in my life to be able to get that clarity, because clutter in the physical space has a direct impact on your mental space as well. So while doing that, I applied whatever she had written in the book in my own life as well, and I started decluttering and organizing. In fact, I remember when I read the book, I came home and I told my husband about it, and I suddenly started decluttering, and he's looking at my face like, "What's wrong with you? What are you doing to the house?" So I was like, "No, no, no, you wait and watch, and let's see what will happen." And lo and behold, whatever things were stuck in my life or in my husband's life, I started seeing a big change and a big shift. So that was exactly what Marie Kondo had written in the book came true while I applied it. That's when I felt, something like this was not there in India at that point in time. And in fact, actually, world over, like, because this I'm talking about 2016, 15, so which it was starting out in the, in the West as well. And the more I researched, the more I figured that no one in India was doing a business like that. So I really delved deeper into it. And of course, it was very challenging. I will not deny it, because I did not get support at that time from my parents. They were like, why do you want to leave such a great job at Discovery and media and get into something like this? But I told them, and I think I myself was so convinced that I researched so much. And I even did a survey with over 200 people in my own capacity in India, where I asked whether they were okay having a professional organizer help them in decluttering, etc. And when it just got validated by people saying that they were very happy to have a decluttering professional coming to their homes, it just made a lot of sense. And that's when I thought that I will do it, and I'll do it from the best. So I wrote to Marie Kondo and her team, and at that time, fortunately, they were doing courses in New York. So I applied for it, got accepted, and with that launched Joy Factory and became India's first KonMari consultant.
And to give everyone a definition of what a KonMari consultant is now, is somebody who works with spaces, somebody who works on decluttering, somebody who gives you your space back, essentially.
Yes, absolutely. And KonMari, the method, has been derived from her own name. Her name is Marie Kondo. So she's just devised the philosophy based on her own name and called it the KonMari method of decluttering and tidying.
Right. Now let's look at initially your life. You were sorted. You had a wonderful life. You were in Disney for over 10 years, like you said. You come home and you tell your husband, I'm done with Disney. I'm going to do this. What was his reaction? I know you mentioned your family.
Yes. So even for with him, it was obviously he's very supportive and very very wonderful that way. But there was this, everybody had their apprehension, because they felt, and he being also felt, that are you sure you want to do this? I mean, we are there to support you, but just understand it correctly and understand it perfectly to be able to really go and take this path, because this path had nobody to look up to, in India especially. And so it was challenging, because I did not have a path that was carved out for me. In fact, now when people are joining in the industry, I get so many calls from professional organizers where they say thank you that you took that bold step of doing so. And I take pride in being a pioneer. But at that time, it was, there were days when I used to question that, are you sure, Gayatri, you want to do this? Are you sure? But I think because the conviction, and like Marie Kondo says in her method, that if it sparks joy, you do it. If it doesn't spark joy, you don't do it. Or like if it sparks joy, you keep that item. And if it doesn't spark joy, you don't keep that item. I think I applied it in my own life, and it was sparking so much joy at that time that I told my husband and, of course, myself that no, I will do it. And in fact, help people in India spark joy for them as well.
So is that how the name Joy Factory came about?
Yes, yes, that's exactly how it came about, because I felt that with Joy Factory, I will help you manufacture it in my company, which is why it's called Joy Factory. So the idea is that we help you manufacture it, take it out from within.
This for me is interesting because you mentioned that you don't only, you mentioned that it manifested to something very different for you. So it wasn't only about spaces, but it then became a personal habit as well, where you were transforming yourself as you were going along. Because and it's very interesting because you transform a space, and that space then changes your mindset, your aura, and your belief. Would you agree with this?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what happened with me, not just in my physical space, but me as a person, in understanding my personality and therefore my other areas of my life, which is when I felt that it's not just a physical aspect only. It really goes deeper into your own self. And I think one major learning that I had after opening Joy Factory was that I became very comfortable with myself, which means that, all the time, otherwise, we are trying to be people or be someone where you want to just, you know, perhaps not accept yourself the way you are. But I think with understanding that what sparks joy for me, what makes sense to me, I think I became a very calm and a contented individual. And I feel I want to pursue other people to do that as well and enable them to feel that, because not everybody feels that. And I think we are in this race of wanting to achieve things and wanting to do things which are not true to themselves somehow.
This is very interesting. And the reason I say this is because you would never think that decluttering would actually help you declutter your mind too.
Absolutely.
And it's very interesting because unbelievable how everything works together when it comes to that decluttering aspect.
Yes.
So did you actually travel to New York to actually do the course with her?
Yes, I went to Marie Kondo because at that time she had just started out taking out these courses, and she was certifying consultants across the world. And mine was the third batch that she was doing. So I reached out to her team, and she was doing it in New York at that time. So I went for the course. So even to go for the course, there are about 6 steps to it to be able to qualify to become a KonMari consultant. And the first 2 3 steps are that you have to read both her books. You have to submit before and after pictures of your own home, showing that how much you have done in your own life. It's not just theory, it has to be done practically as well. And after you get accepted and they see that the theory and the philosophy has been applied in your home, in your life, then you get accepted for that course. And the course and that seminar is actually for 3 days. uh, and after that, then you come back, you work with clients, you submit reports, then you sit for an exam, and then you become a certified conman.
The interesting thing is, like you said, you started at a time when nobody in India was doing this. Tell me about your challenges, because I can bet you a million and this is what I've noticed when I'm podcasting as well, is everyone loves the idea that they're getting on a podcast, right? It's a natural thing. However, if it was a new concept, not many people will accept it. They'll be like, oh, I don't know, is it for me, kind of a thing. I've never heard of it. And I do notice that occasionally when I bring up new ideas and I speak to people, they sort of turn around and say, is this for me? Like, we've never heard of this. Will this work? So in your sense, in your business, because this is a new idea you brought to India, what were the challenges?
So, exactly like you said, the first challenge, it being, was this whole doubt that I had about it to myself, that will it get accepted in a country like ours? We are just too many of us, the population is exploding, and the people who may understand would be very, very less. And firstly, will they even understand? Because the concept had not, even in the West, it was just picking up. So it's not something that it had become a popular, concept there. And I was just bringing it. It wasn't like that. So first step, first doubt or challenge, I would say, was that where I had a doubt in myself, thinking that will it work or will it not work. And the second one, which I have mentioned before, were the doubts that I got from my family and friends. When they kept questioning me and they kept asking me that, will it work? Will it not work? Are you sure? And I think this constant doubt that kept getting from them, that made me really, that made me feel maybe I'm not cut out to do it, because that was the challenge that actually makes you feel whether you're able to do it or not do it. Having said that, I think that particular challenge also became my stepping stone, because the more the people challenged it by saying you cannot do it, the more convinced I became that I will do it. And I think because I did so much research, I backed it with so much of validation of not just the survey that I did, but of course the books that I read, and of course even seeing how popular it was slowly gaining traction in the West. All that I brought and presented it here in India when I was talking to my family, friends, and some people who were constantly guiding me about it. And I think that just led me that no, come what may, I will go ahead and do it. And I think that, like, for many people could have been like, maybe they gave up on such a scenario, but I think for me that became my stepping stone. That I thought that no, I will do it and change it around, and in fact make it like a industry that opens up for numerous other people to join in the future. And that's exactly what has happened now, coming 7.5 years later.
7.5 years. You're still doing it. So obviously it's working. Something is working.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you have a team or do you do this on your own?
No, so I have a team now. I don't do it anymore alone because it gets very tiring, and we are growing slowly and steadily. So we are a team now. Yes.
Good, good. Now, okay, what's the situation? I mean, how do you assess clients to know whether they're the right fit for you, I suppose? Because it's a two-way street. One, the client needs decluttering, and two, you also then have to decide, well, is this for me or not?
Right. So actually, the good thing is that firstly, people do reach out in such a scenario or such a case like mine when they feel that they are ready, because we are not like a cleaning service or a service that will just come on the surface and help you get rid of that dirt, dust, etc., which normally are the cleaning services available in India, like Urban Company and other kinds of companies. So because we go a level deeper, which is decluttering, uh, the people who do reach out are the ones who already know about this concept. And I was fortunate that the year I launched Joy Factory, 6 months down, Marie Kondo launched her own series on Netflix. So immediately, what happened that when you Google Marie Kondo in India, my name popped up very organically, because my name was Gayatri Gandhi, KonMari India, etc. So because that happened, automatically the awareness and the popularity in India started growing, because people started understanding what decluttering is. So when you're asking that is it a two-way street, fortunately, like I said, people do reach out when they are ready. But as from my side, when I speak to them, I do get to know how interested they are, and or are they really interested in making a change in their life. Because like I've said, it's not just a cleaning service, it's really about understanding yourself as people, and of course going a level deeper, and also identifying things in your own life that you haven't been able to tackle. But with decluttering, that energy gets made, and you're able to penetrate into that energy for other aspects of your life as well.
So here's a question. When you talk about decluttering, we're not only talking about furniture, we're talking about clothes, we're talking about different things in this aspect, right? And what I find is majority of people struggle, and I struggle, right? I can declutter everywhere else, but when it comes to clothes, I'm like, oh, should I keep this one? Should I not keep this one? And that is where I tend to get stuck a lot. Is that a common thing that happens with people?
Yes, absolutely, that is because the level of attachment is very high when it comes to items like these. But the Marie Kondo philosophy is very interesting, because there's a unique aspect to it that she encourages you to declutter by category and not by location or by space. Because traditionally, we all have been decluttering drawer by drawer, room by room, or a wardrobe by wardrobe. Whereas Marie Kondo says that you should be decluttering category wise, and there are five major categories. The first being clothes, second being books, third being paper, fourth being miscellaneous items, and lastly your sentimental items. Now, which means that if you declutter your clothes, you should declutter in complete totality and not just a particular wardrobe. Because usually, what ends up happening is that when you declutter maybe one wardrobe, and if you haven't decluttered the wardrobe maybe in your guest room, which has all your Indian wear or your Western wear, or maybe your winter, then you don't know the amount of stuff that you have. So, and a lot of times what happens is that if I ask you, do you have anything to wear, you'll be like, no. But if we take out all the stuff that you have, it'll become like a mountain of clothes. So a lot of times what Marie Kondo says is that you should do it category wise, because that will let you know how much you own, what you own, and you'll be able to take a decision on whether I should keep this or not keep this in a more holistic and a more informed manner. So, and why she says go from clothes to sentimental items, because taking a decision on clothes is fairly easier than taking a decision on sentimental, which is a harder category like your photographs, letters, albums. So, it's better to hone your decision making skills from an easier category than going into a tougher category, because that will then enable you in the journey in a much better way.
So, how many days do you spend at a client's place? Like, do they have, like, I'm going to come to you, Gayatri, and say, I just need help with my clothes? Or is it going to be, I need help with a lot more than just clothes?
Yes, absolutely. So it's for us, it varies. I mean, clients can reach out to me for just a category, or they can reach out to us for a full house as well. So if they reach out to me for just the clothes, then we do schedule a visit to their premises, have a look of how much clothes they have and how much storage space they have, and then accordingly come up with like a plan that maybe, because usually clothes can take up to 2 to 3 days, just the clothes. And clothes will also then include your shoes, a bit of shoes, and your bags, because that is the complete form of clothes, because you dress up with everything. So when we tackle clothes, then we take all of these in complete totality. Now, for clothes, sometimes it could take 2 to 3 days, but even for full homes, it could take maybe 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. It really depends on how big the premises are and how much stuff people have.
How do you price something like this? And the reason I ask is you've never been to their house. They could have a million things, but you can only see 50,000 things.
Right, right, right.
How does somebody price something like that? First of all, how does somebody price getting rid of sentimental stuff? But
So in our case, in Joy Factory, we charge by the hour, because the number of hours we spend over there with the client is the number of the amount of money that they will be sharing, because it's like, how you, like when you want to lose weight, everything out there is on YouTube, but you still get a dietitian or a personal trainer. So we are like personal trainers for you, you know. So if you want to really understand in a layman's term what we do, we are like personal trainers for the house. We will help you in giving you a tailor-made, custom-made a plan which just works for you and no one else. So that's exactly what we do, that we handhold you in your journey in identifying what to keep and what not to keep, and then going forward. So that's exactly what we do.
how intimately are these clients involved? Like, do you take them from room to room, or how much are they involved? Because they have to spend some time with you to have these discussions.
Absolutely, they are involved 100%. The rules and the terms and conditions for working with them is that they have to be there from the start to the finish every minute of the time that we are with them. Because, like you said, they have to be involved. We are not like a cleaning service who are just coming and putting things in order on the surface. No.
So I'm still going to look on the challenges, Gayatri, because for me, I have to understand. Do you still feel like you have challenges, or have you crossed that barrier? I know that she did this documentary on Netflix and everything got better, but do you still have challenges when you talk about convincing people?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Convincing is a very big challenge, even now, after 7.5 years of being in the industry. And that's also because the level of attachment to items in India is very high. Because, when I say that if maybe you could remove this and not keep it with you. So the question is, but I like everything. Everything sparks joy for me. Why should I give it away? It's a very normal, like a counter argument that I get. And that's also because, fortunately, in India, we are still a joint family system with great grandparents, grandparents still staying with us. And because there has been a major history of partition and such big events that have taken place in India. So the level of attachment what the great grandparents or the grandparents have with those items vis-a-vis children like us who have come into the family much later, where we are like, why do you need to keep this, whereas the grandmother is like, but the trunk has to be there because the trunk has come from Pakistan, so obviously at that time one cannot say anything. But when you do break down the Marie Kondo's philosophy and make them do understand that if that item is not being used, and if it's really not adding value to your current life, and actually it's starting to become like negative energy, because things that are not used, they become clutter, and clutter is nothing but dead energy or blocked energy. So the minute you don't address the blocked energy, you won't be able to welcome anything new in your life. So so therefore, when I go to my clients homes, there are times when I have to just sit with them and counsel them, because it's not as if that I go and start working. There are certain sessions which are just about talking to them, because then you have to make them understand the real philosophy and the real meaning behind the whole idea of decluttering. It's about, like we discussed earlier, that it's not just the physical aspect, but actually other energies and other areas of your life that start opening up. It could be health for somebody, it could be a work project for somebody, it could be anything. And a lot of clients have reached out to me earlier. Like, I remember two of my clients were very very rigid when I was explaining to them that aapka aise theek ho jayega, or this will become okay, or this will become okay. And she's like, no, I don't, what are you saying, it doesn't make sense to me. And imagine, after 6 months, she herself called me back and she said, all the things that you told me, that how life will open up, how things will change, how areas that were stuck in my life will start opening up. She like, that exactly what has happened in my own life as well. So when I get phone calls from clients like these, it's like a complete validation that this philosophy really works, and people are seeing not just a physical change, but actually a change which is much much deeper.
Oh, I can totally agree with that. Now, the one thing I'm interested in understanding is we talk about decluttering, but then there's also living a minimalism or minimalist life.
Right.
How are those two connected? And the reason I ask is because I truly believe in living a minimalist life. Yes, I do have a lot of clothes and stuff, but I actually declutter to the max. When I moved into this home, my architect built this home, and I moved into this home. We got rid of so much. And every 2-3 months, and I have this philosophy that I go by, that I have to get rid of stuff. Particularly if I haven't used it for 6 months, that includes clothes or whatever. So, what is your thought on decluttering and living a minimalist life, and how are these two connected?
So, very valid question, and in fact, minimalism is the bigger umbrella. It is the main from where decluttering is also stemming from. Having said that, Marie Kondo's philosophy is not about minimalism, because minimalism talks about having only enough number of things, which means that if you have three pairs of jeans, that's enough, because one goes into laundry, one goes for ironing, and one you're wearing. So it's like three is absolutely enough. Whereas the KonMari philosophy talks about whatever sparks joy for you, you have it. Whatever doesn't spark joy for you, you don't have it. So for somebody, if maybe having 10 pairs of jeans sparks joy and they are using it and they are feeling good about it, you're okay to keep those 10 pairs. So, therefore, the difference is that the aspect of joy becomes bigger in Marie Kondo's philosophy, whereas the idea of having just about that much, which is just correct in your living, is the main focus in minimalism. So, yes, decluttering is about reducing the stuff that you have, but KonMari says that it should also bring you joy and should also bring you happiness. If it starts stressing you out that I just have three pairs of jeans, then that means you have not done it in the right way, because the idea is that you have to feel joyful at any point in time.
So, when you go into people's homes, what is the most clingiest thing that people tend to want to hang on to? Other than sentimental items, what is the most clingiest thing? They go, oh, I just cannot. I'm not going to let you touch that kind of thing.
So, yes, it does start with sentimental items, to be honest. But in that, the category can differ for people. Like for women, sometimes bags become a very big thing. They cannot let go of their bags. And it's also because I think the cost element attached to it, because these like, bags or the shoes these days are so expensive, the big branded ones. So for some women, bags take very important, like a very important aspect of their lives, and for some it could be shoes. But even for some parents or the mothers, I would say toys become a very big aspect for their children, like the first toy that my child held, or the first item that the child wore. Those kind of things also become a very important aspect. But like for me, I would say books are a very important category. So for me, they spark joy. So if I have to get, like, give away my books, it will be something that I will be like, okay, let me give it 2 3 thoughts. I can't give it away.
Gayatri, I've got to be honest, I'll probably be the worst client for you because I have 3 pairs of shoes and I have my favorite t-shirts, and beyond that I don't go any further, and I don't have any bags.
Oh wow, that's excellent. So what is your that one thing that you are very very attached to, if I may ask you? Nothing.
Nothing. Hold on, what am I? No, I'm actually now going to have to think about this question because nah, if you told me to give up something.
You have to pick up that one thing and run away from your house right now, what would that be? I mean, not your children or your husband. Besides that, if any item that it had to be, what would it be?
Nothing.
Oh, super.
Just my passports.
Okay, yes. Okay, great.
Nothing beyond that. In fact, my husband and I were actually talking about this because we've been looking at the fires that are currently happening in LA, and it's terrible. But we sat there and thought to ourselves, and he turned, I said to him, Mosam, other than the kids, what is the one thing that you'd probably run out of the house with if something like that happened? Because it's becoming such a real situation when you look at all this happening. And the only thing I could come up with is passports and my storage, because I have all my podcasts on there. That's it.
Wow. So that means you don't have any other item that is actually sparking that much joy for you to be able to be picked up and to be taken away. Is that what you're saying?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay,
Nothing.
great. Then that's great. As long as you're convinced about it and it makes you happy, I think that's how the answer should be for you, to be honest.
For me, it's that way, but I do feel that for my husband, it might be the other way. No,
Of course, that varies from person to person. But as long as you are convinced about it, that means it's the right way to handle your life.
Yeah, yeah. I actually am very pleased with myself. So it's really good. Yeah, so it's very interesting. Now, when you go into people's places, have you ever seen stuff that really shocks you?
Yes.
And what sort of stuff do you see that you have to go through that shocks you?
See, actually, in my work, we enter the private space, like the places I think haven't been visited by them also in a long, long time. So when we enter those spaces, there are things which, I need to have a very calm expression that, why do you have this? But still make it like, oh, you still have it. Like, be very happy and very calm about it. But there are things which, make you wonder and feel that, wow, people have a lot of stuff and people have attachments to a lot of stuff. So, yes, definitely there is that feeling that we do get that, wow, people are attached to a number of items in their lives.
It's interesting. How do you keep a straight face when you go to somebody's place and you see the most weirdest things?
I think for that, I'm a lot into spiritualism and meditation. So when I go, for my sessions in the morning of that, I do put myself, center myself before doing so. And that I have my meditation and spiritualism. I practice Buddhism. So I chant before going, because I know that the kind of clients and the kind of session I will have will depend a lot on, of course, the energy that I will draw from there, but also how I will be while I am there. So I think it's a combination of the two. So I need to be very calm myself to be able to, be with those clients when I know something very, very stark is going to come on my face.
What do you do with all these items? You pick them up from people's places, but then what happens after that?
So in our case, I mean, we to tell the clients that they have the first right of refusal. So either they could give it to their family, staff, friends, whoever they wish to give it to. If not, then we have tie ups with donation centers, charitable organizations. So we take it with us and then we go and donate it to the respected organizations where it needs to be given to and donate it very mindfully.
Fair enough. I love the fact that you said donate it very mindfully there. Now, the other question too is that antiques, when you look at antiques that are not required anymore, such as a suitcase that has come from all the way from Pakistan all the way to India, can do you consider selling those items for the individuals? Because, and the reason I ask is because in the Western countries, antiques are sold and they make quite a lot of money. So I don't know what it's like in India.
No, absolutely. But when it is such a an item which is so close to the heart, then usually the clients don't end up donating or giving away such an item itself because the level of attachment is very high. But having said that, yes, I mean we don't do it per se regarding reselling of items, but there are now WhatsApp groups in India where there are options available where if you want to and if you wish to give pre-loved and those kind of items which are of high value, then we connect the people on those WhatsApp groups, the buyers and the sellers, and then they can figure out themselves what needs to be done with it. I don't do it personally, as in I'm not, Joy Factor doesn't do it, but we guide them to join such groups where they can do it themselves.
Do you feel that decluttering reduces anxiety and stress for individuals as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. In fact, I worked with a client who had very severe OCD, and her condition was so severe that she used to wash her hands at least 100 times a day. And I remember working with her mindfully, slowly, taking it very easy because she used to feel that she could only trust me and not her family members, because then her anxiety used to just go over the top. And in fact, that while I helped her in her decluttering journey, helped her sort out her life, she was able to then take charge of her own life and go to a rehab. And she went to a rehab and was there for at least 6 months, became little okay. And in that period, her mother used to give me a call to tell me how well she's recovering, how well she's doing, because this journey actually helped her to be able to, become calm and obviously acknowledge the fact that she did have OCD and she had to, pay attention to it. So definitely, yes, that decluttering does help you in becoming less anxious. It does help you in, really becoming focused as an individual. And I think this whole feeling of what if not, etc., does go down because you are in much more in control of your own life after you are decluttered and organized.
Do you ever have to revisit those spaces?
In the clients' homes, you mean?
Yeah, like you've
Yeah,
decluttered
so
them.
sometimes yes, the clients also call us for like an AMC, that they say that you've done it the one big time, but do keep us on check. So maybe for some clients it could be 6 months, for some clients it's like 3 months, or it could be a yearly, depending on what the client wants. We do come up with solutions for them that we can go every 6 or yearly and then just see how well those spaces are looking and if they still need more help from us.
Fair enough. Now, if somebody wants to adopt minimalism as a way of life, they have to start somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
What is your recommendation then? Where do they start from?
See, of course, now minimalism is like we discussed, is a very big concept that people are adopting in their own life. And I think with COVID and with such big situations and scenarios that have happened in our life, because during COVID, people were told just to keep the essentials, and people lived happily also in those times when they just had essentials, when they didn't have those extraordinary and big things at that time. And so I think people are now really understanding also that minimalism is the way to go, because you do not have such extravagance just for the heck of it. So I think this realization is coming in slowly, and especially also amongst the youngsters, to be honest, that they do want to get into the minimalistic space, but I also feel that when I go to their homes, it's not like that as yet, because the level of consumerism is also very high, that everything is available at the clip of a finger with Amazon and these, big giants available. So there is this whole concept that people are still hoarding and buying, but there is also this awareness that's also popping in by saying that no, I want to live the minimalistic way. So yes, if you do wish to go with the minimalism as a concept in your life that you want to apply, then of course there are a number of books available, and there is also a lot of series that are available on Netflix that one can start, seeing, and of course reading, because books are there. And once you start going into that realm, you'll be able to see that automatically, you can see such kind of concepts that you can apply in your own life. Because from minimalism also comes this Danish concept called huga, which is about, being cozy, being in the moment, or like ikigai, the Japanese concept, or lagom, which is a Scandinavian concept. So if you read up about it, you will see that minimalism is not just that, it's just the physical aspect of living only that much, but really enjoying in the moment by applying all these concepts that are there.
Correct. And not only that, it's living with whatever you have that actually gives you the most happiness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's amazing the kind of concepts that are available now one can read and believe in the world these days.
Very interesting, very interesting. Because when we look at people, like when I travel back home, my home is Kenya, and I
Yeah,
find that people have very little there, but that littleness gives them so much happiness, and they're amazing. That is the beauty, that the fact that they don't have much and they don't care because they don't have it.
correct.
So, do you feel that decluttering also has a connection to focus and productivity?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's very simple. If you'll start getting less anxious and if you'll start feeling less stressed, the reaction or the automatic result would be that focus comes in, productivity comes in. And I have done a lot of workshops with corporates and with MNCs where my focus or my decluttering, my topic of, for these workshop has been decluttering your mind by decluttering your desk. Those kind of workshops that I have conducted. And it's very interesting that those MNCs and those corporates have come back to say to me by saying that after the workshop, because they physically decluttered their space, whether it was desk or any files or any other items in their office, they saw that the productivity amongst the employees went up, or the focus and the growth in the company went up. So definitely there is a big change that one can see once you start applying decluttering um, as a concept, and it could be applied in any area of your life. So yes, productivity.
Yeah, yeah. So productivity doesn't just improve, but it gives you a lot of focus as well, and your ability to deliver is a lot more.
Absolutely.
You also work with workplaces. Now, workplaces is very interesting, and I say this because other than desks, and I'm actually trying to think, other than desks, what other places are there that you feel require a bit of attention?
Yeah, so in the workplace, this the filing system, okay, because we end up having a lot of paper. And I think paper, therefore, because paper is just a sheet, it ends up piling up faster than we think, because we think it's just a sheet of paper. And then slowly that starts piling up to the amount that we don't need so much. So that one aspect, of course, desk is there, but the filing and the storage system in offices, at workplaces, I feel needs that larger attention. And a lot of these companies, some of them have not got digitized or not got into the whole, digitizing that physical filing system into their computers or laptops. I think that gap also needs to be, taken into account. And for that, one needs to address what kind of filing or what kind of folders do I actually physically have, because only the relevant one then therefore should get digitized. So I think this the whole decluttering in an office is another ball game. The way it is in a house, similarly it is like that even at a workplace. So depending on what the requirement is of that workplace, one sees it like that. But I would say the storage system and the filing and places where, you know, loads of paper is there, that is one area that surely needs to be looked into.
Do you feel that the way the workplace operates impacts people's personal lives as well? Because we spend a lot of time in our work,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so if there's paper and there's filing systems and paper and stuff kept in a certain way, that it could impact their personal way and habits.
Absolutely. So, see, decluttering is a concept. I mean, and like you're saying, that because we end up spending 8, 9 hours at work, what you constantly keep looking at it in front of you definitely has an impact. It's like a constant busy signal. We may not pay attention to it, but there is like a woodpecker pecking on your brain that, you know, that needs to be looked into, that needs to be checked. So I think that has a deep impact on your physical and sorry, your personal life as well when you do go back home. So there is definitely a big change.
So it's like a subconscious habit
Absolutely.
in essence.
Absolutely. See, actually, you know, what we need to really understand, decluttering is something that is not just at a physical level. I think if we do understand that from the get go, I think you'll be able to, one will be able to see that how many other areas of your life do get affected once you start applying decluttering as a concept.
Yeah, I like the concept actually, because I think if many people adopt it, the patterns of consistently wanting to purchase things, the patterns of consistently having a need to have things when you really don't need them,
Yes.
they tend to say just sort of disappear. And I'm a prime example of that. I do not shop on Amazon.
Wow.
I have never shopped. The only time I did shop, and I'll be honest with you, is when I was in India in March. I was going for a wedding, and at that time I had no choice. I had to buy new saris and new clothes, and even that I did it after my wedding, which is 14, 15 years.
Right.
So that tells you how what a minimalist life I
So
lived.
actually, you're a very small number, if I'll be honest. I mean, it's great that you are at this stage and of your life, because it's amazing. And I definitely have a lot of respect for people who are being able to live such a life. But having said that, majority of the world and majority of India is definitely not like that, like for sure.
Mm. How many clients do you visit on a day-to-day basis? Well, or on a week-to-week basis,
So,
because, like you
yeah,
said, it could be.
exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, because no client uh, like the amount of time that I spent with a client usually depends, like I told you, 1 to 2 days depending on the scope of work, right? So in a week it could be 2 to 3 projects, so 2 to 3 clients, and I like to do one client at a time. So I don't take on 2 projects on a particular day, because that's mentally very exhausting for me also, to be honest, because it's not just the physical aspect like we've discussed so much, it's the energy that I also take on me when I return. I don't know if how much of energies do you understand, but like I come, and because I'm into meditation, spiritualism, and my mother-in-law is also is a past life healer and into regression and all. So when I come home, I also do take like salt shower, and I do, because you have actually taken that kind of blocked energy or the negative energy of the client while working with them on yourself. So to be able to keep yourself also in a way which is pure, fresh, everything, it's important to help yourself as well. So which is why I try to take one client at a time, so that I'm able to give my 100% to them, and also at the same time take care of myself, and the team is also taken care of.
Something interesting you said is when you go to somebody's place, you clean up their place, essentially you are working with their negative energies
Yes.
in a sense. Your biggest thing is to make sure that it doesn't come back. And if it does, then it's washed off.
Yes. Yeah. See, it's also because for some of my clients, I'm not just a person who's coming to help them. I'm actually like a therapist to them, or sometimes like a counselor. So, in the way it is for a counselor or a therapist, where they are told all of those problems by the client to the therapist, similarly for us or for me, it's the same, because while of course we are helping in their decluttering, physical decluttering, but while they are doing so, the kind of stories that they tell me, that the attachment they have to a particular item and the backstory behind it, it has a lot of weightage. And so therefore it comes back on me. So one of the concerns that definitely I would say my parents also had was this, that you are, going there and giving your heart and soul into it. So sometimes the clients also become like they ride off your positive energy, if you know what I mean, like how, because you are their friend, you are their therapist, you are their person who's just helping you out. So they feed off your energy that you are bringing. So it's important to keep that demarcation, but at the same time not to let them feel, because if you let them feel, they'll not open up, and if they'll not open up, they'll not see the full benefit of this whole decluttering journey. So it is a very, I would say, therefore, I think my spiritualism and meditation really helps me, because that gives a balanced approach on how to deal with each client and each project.
I love energies. I've got to be honest with you. And,
Okay,
you
good.
know, everyone tells me that the certain thing that you do carries a certain energy. The people you speak to carries a certain energy. So you've always got to be careful as well that you're not bringing any of their negative energies across to you.
Yes,
So
yes,
you have to find a certain balance and you have to know when to switch off. And
absolutely.
so it is very interesting that people don't understand the power that different energies have. And I've been speaking to a lot of psychics too, who talk about certain energies and stuff. So it's very interesting.
Yes, it is.
Now, social media and digital clutter. What do you have to say about that? Because we say that filing systems in offices have not become digitized, yet we're all addicted to social media and we have a lot of digital clutter. And here too, you're not going to like me because I actually digital declutterize every week. But anyhow, I'll let you talk about it.
No, which is great, and that's exactly one should deal with digital clutter as you deal with your personal physical clutter. And I think the whole KonMari philosophy is that only then. And I think the minute or the moment you're able to understand the KonMari philosophy in the right fashion, you will see that you'll be able to apply it in all aspects of your life. Because when she says that things that spark joy should be with you, and things that don't spark joy for you should be thanked and given away, should be applied in all categories and all areas of your life. And that actually also then transcends into digital clutter as well. So any folder or any picture that is not sparking joy, where you're feeling that you're not looking good, you can click delete, or you can put that folder or that file which is, of not giving you joy or not making sense to you. It could be given, a particular home where it just goes into either the trash can or like a folder that needs to be addressed.
Okay, so we're talking about photos here, we're talking about videos. What else, when we talk about digital declutter, can you think of that people don't generally think of? These are the basic stuff. Is this all that we look at when we consider digital declutter, or is there anything else you can advise your customers?
So visual clutter or anything which is sapping you of your energy. So I would say social media right now, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether there are these reels where you're just mindlessly scrolling, means that there is actually so much clutter inside your brain that you're not even paying attention to what you're scrolling needlessly. So actually, if you think about it, that exactly is clutter, because clutter is something that doesn't make you think. And that's exactly what we are doing while we are on Instagram, that we just pick up the phone, if you're not doing anything, just start scrolling, going up up up, and that's it. So for me, and for what to define what digital clutter is, yes, social media is clutter. If it's not giving you that kind of purpose or the joy, then definitely needs to be looked into, and you need to consider what how much you want to give attention to it. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, or half an hour, depending on, but you need to decide that personally.
I agree. Now, what is the connection between decluttering and sustainability?
So actually, the thing with decluttering is that once you declutter, then automatically your understanding of sustainability also starts coming in. Because once you do downsizing or reducing the stuff, you will also start getting mindful of the fact that what kind of sustainability should have I have in my environment or in my life, etc. So yes, unfortunately we don't have enough substitute for plastic as yet, and we do end up buying more of that. But till we get that, if for other items, while decluttering, so like when we go to people's homes and when we tell them to declutter, so if a coffee bottle has come, it's a glass bottle, we recommend that to reuse it. It won't be that just because the bottle is not looking the same as your other salt bottle or the sugar bottle, that you just, you know, give it away. So, therefore, sustainability from our end becomes that you start reusing or repurposing items that can be given, a second life. Just because it's not looking good or aesthetically not making sense to you, I mean, we will not suggest that you just give it away. So, yes, while decluttering, our our idea is that we educate the client of sustainability also, so that they both go hand in hand as much as possible, and of course they do understand how important it is in the long run.
What are the biggest myths you hear in your industry?
Myths regarding,
Decluttering.
I think the biggest myth, uh, yeah, myth would be that cleaning and decluttering is one and the same thing. I think that is one of the biggest myths, I would say, because people still don't understand what decluttering is. They still feel that cleaning is only about like just cleaning, safai kar do on the surface, get rid of that dirt, that dust, saaf ho to gya. It's like that. But people don't realize that actually, if your house is clean, doesn't mean your house is decluttered. Whereas, but if your house is decluttered, there are chances the house will be clean because cleaning happens on a daily basis. But because those words are used synonymously from childhood, and when our mothers used to say that go, clean your room, she actually meant declutter the room and tidy your room, you know, and not clean. But because that has been used synonymously, so I feel that is one thing that has been like a common myth that has been going on for years to come.
One famous person you have decluttered for, and how was your experience?
So I have worked with Pinky Reddy. She's an industrialist in back in here, and so I mean, I cannot take names, to be honest. She has given authority to take names, so hence I do it, because otherwise people are very very, quiet, and they don't like to talk about that. But yes, for her, we had gone to help in her digital decluttering. By the way, we help her in digital decluttering of her photo albums, and that was a very big exercise that we did. And then we also helped her in decluttering her storeroom, which was like a massive area, of course, but had a lot of stuff which did not make you know sense to her. So we had to really organize it, tidy up. So that was one thing that we really worked with her on that.
So you can't give me any more names, but have you worked with celebrities, and what is it like working with such people? Because they have a different mindset.
Oh yes, they do. And because they have so much stuff, they it's for them, therefore, yes, it's about decluttering, but it's more about organizing, to be honest. Also because they are so hell-bent on keeping certain items with them because of the cost or value attached to the kind of bags that they own, the kind of stuff that they own, because the value is so high that they are not able to declutter to the extent that they would like to declutter, I'll be honest. But it's also from our side helping them come up with a solution on how to organize it and put it in a better way, so that they are able to find it or they are able to look for it whenever they need it. Because most of the time what happens is when you're looking for something, you don't remember what you have. So we put a system in place for such people, where it's about decluttering, but more than that, it becomes more of organizing.
I agree that they probably don't have the ability to, because of the value that they
Yes.
hold.
Yes.
It's anything they touch is probably the most valuable, to be honest. Um, so it is true, right?
It is true, yes.
So do they like the yeah? So do they like have their own sort of space just to keep, like, for example, hypothetically, a movie star will have elements from the movies that they carry home with them. And I remember watching this documentary on Shah Rukh Khan where he tries to carry a memorabilia from whichever movie, and he's got a specific space for it,
Right.
right? Which is
Absolutely.
fantastic. I think
Yes.
it's
Why
if
not?
that's something, yeah, if that's
Yeah.
something he likes, why not? Then how, like, do these people have their own spaces for just that?
Yes, absolutely. So celebrities at that level definitely have spaces like these. And like for Shah Rukh Khan, the way it's memorabilia. For some, it could be shoes. Like some celebrities are in love with their shoes, or like I said before, they are in love with their bags. So there they have this full closet where one wall is just dedicated to their displaying their shoes or their bags or any other item that they really love. So the one thing is that of course they have space, so you're able to give that space a meaning by putting these things properly. And I also consult a lot with architects and interior designers in designing the space. So,
Oh,
so not just decluttering. So, a lot of architects reach out to us saying that, can you help plan a perfect wardrobe, or you help plan like the perfect, shoe cupboard? Because we as organizers actually know how much that person owns, and automatically then we are able to assign a space for each of these items in their wardrobes. Because otherwise, these wardrobes get made in a very generic way. So for you, like you're saying, if you have just three, four, four of each item, you may not need such a big wardrobe. Perhaps you could lessen that space, and maybe if you are more of a kitchen person where you would like to bake something, or like you, if you are into podcasts and you may want that kind of space which is bigger, then that space can be given in a bigger way to you. So therefore, I and professional organizers like me then come into that space where we help the interior designer and the architect to plan their personal spaces in such a way that the best way and the most optimized space is taken out, keeping in mind the personal belongings such people and celebrities have.
okay. So this is very interesting. Now you've gone from decluttering to working with architects, which is also a fantastic area
Yes,
to look
yes,
at.
yes.
What other areas do you sort of work with or touch on? So you mentioned the architect, you mentioned the decluttering attempt to minimalize
Right.
clutter, I guess. So what other professions do you touch with?
So I had also worked with a hotel, and I worked in the hotel in like for them for almost a year, where I used to fly down to Dehradun and just work in their back end spaces, because now the hotel in the front end is very beautiful, right? Because obviously it's very nicely done, but the back end was very very cluttered. So the owner of the hotel reached out and they said that, can you help us in planning, and of course not so much decluttering, because obviously in hotels things get consumed also with the kind of customers they get, but it was more of putting a system to the back end areas where we knew what is kept where. So even a hotel industry is really, then they reach out to us saying that, just give organization a different meaning when we work with them.
Wow, this is so cool because what you just said is like it's not just about okay, here's the laundry, put in this basket, but it's the organization of that laundry goes from here to there, and this
Yes,
happens over here. So
absolutely.
it's planning the whole supply chain, I
Yes,
suppose, the
it's a
whole.
full journey. Yes, you're so right. You got it. Absolutely. It's not just like dumping there and that's it. No, it's from step one, step two, step three, because you're giving a full organized structure to it.
And that means your time management also in that hotel would improve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're then
Wow.
obviously taking away that extra bit of just non-planning, then comes into the planning stage. So time management actually improves and becomes much better.
So, in essence, a lot of people should actually be using these services in India, and that's my honest view because I find that and time management is a skill in a number of countries. It's not only here; it's there too. And if they're able to get this clockwork in their organization itself,
Absolutely.
the delivery would be so
Sure.
smooth.
Absolutely. And because I think we are so many of us in India, the population is exploding. I think the more if they are able to learn this skill and understand it, the delivery as it is happening the way it's happening, but it will become much better. Because if in a population like this delivery is still happening, I mean, imagine if the skill set of time management comes, the delivery will become so much better and more efficient.
My gosh, I truly think that people should look at this in India in a very different way. And I'm saying this so honestly because, just looking at this, think about it. It's not just about decluttering, it's about working within a space. It's about working with architects, very, in building these beautiful spaces. But then it also then becomes about looking at efficiency within large service-based organizations like hospitality
Absolutely.
and also offices. And if you fix all this, then people will want to not only work there, but they will find as the process is going clockwork. And I absolutely love this idea. I think
Yes.
more and more people need to invest their money because the
Absolutely.
returns will be a lot higher.
Lot time.
Yeah. Have you done any research with clients that you've worked with on their output? Like some people do research papers and they say, well, we started from here and it was this decluttered and this inefficient process became efficient this way in this services based organization.
So of course I've not done a research like that, but I told you like the testimonials and the people when the feedback that I get, it's 100% that their lives have changed dramatically. And a lot
Mm.
of times I've been told about the efficiency increasing in their homes, especially parents or mothers with young kids. Once their things are in order, they have come back and said that they suddenly have a lot of more time with their children, their whole productivity and the time they spend with the child also becomes better. So definitely there is a big shift that takes place after they do this whole in their life.
Gayatri, thank you for coming on this podcast. This is so apt for my channel. When I speak of inner habit, I think decluttering works across all those spaces. Time management, efficiency, productivity, focus. It works in minimalism, decluttering. It just answers all those questions. And the subconscious habits, the habits. So I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had such a lovely time talking to you. Thank you very much.